It's been 2 decades since a talented young wide receiver played here for the Carolina Panthers. And in almost the same amount of time, he sat quietly behind bars, convicted in the murder of a beautiful young Cherica Adams. But today, Rae Carruth is finally breaking his silence. It came in the form of a neatly written letter, more than 3,000 words strung together on 15 pages. Together, they provide a voice for a man who's chosen not to have one for nearly 2 decades. The world watched as the star Carolina Panthers wide receiver morphed from a person people wanted to be
2 more days, I think I'll be fine.
into one they hated.
Federal agents arrested a somber Rae Carruth in western Tennessee after what could be the greatest fumble of his career.
The ultimate fall from grace landed the talented athlete a sentence of 18 to 24 years behind bars for conspiring to kill Cherica Adams, the mother of Carruth's unborn child.
Was shot 4 times in an allegedly pathetic scheme.
Luckily, none of the bullets hit the baby.
That baby is now a young man, and that young man, Chancellor Rae Adams, who has bright eyes and an infectious smile, is why Carruth says he's finally speaking out. Carruth's starting words thank Adams for the unconditional care, compassion, love, and support she's shown Chancellor from the beginning. The letter is to Miss Adams. Why not just send it to her?
Well, because in the past I've written Miss Adams. And most everything that I've said in the letter, I've actually said to her, starting with the apology.
After a shift as a barber at the Sampson Correctional Institution in eastern North Carolina, Rae Carruth called me to talk about why he's sharing his truth now.
I feel responsible for everything that happened, and I just want her to know that truly I am sorry for everything.
What exactly are you apologizing for?
I'm apologizing for the loss of her daughter. I'm apologizing for the impairment of my son.
Carruth wouldn't speak about the specifics of that night in 1999 when Cherica was shot 4 times by someone Carruth hired. But he does take responsibility for the actions that left his son without a mother and a father.
Of course, if I could change anything, I'd change the whole situation. His mother would still be here, and I wouldn't be where I'm at. So, that's what I would want to change. I would want to change for the incident to never have happened at all.
Carruth's letter offers not only an apology, but also an opportunity to push back on what he says are inaccurate narratives and headlines that have populated his story over the years. He knows his words may bring more anger and hate against him and writes, "I've long accepted my lot as the social pariah," but is setting the record straight to gain much-needed peace of mind. From the moment the story broke, we heard Cherica referred to as Carruth's girlfriend. In fact, this neighbor told WBTV at the time he heard her use that word to police.
She first said it was her husband, then she said it was her boyfriend that had shot her.
But Carruth says the two were practically strangers. According to him, they hooked up multiple times but were never in a relationship. He writes, "Never was Cherica under the illusion or delusion that I was ever going to propose marriage to her. Lust was the tie that bound us, not like or love, and neither one of us was ever guilty of believing anything contrary to this." Carruth admits he broached the subject of abortion when Cherica told him she might be pregnant, but he says he never brought it up again when she expressed her desire to keep the child that fought an uphill battle from the beginning. Because of the shooting orchestrated by his own father, Chancellor was born premature with a cerebral palsy diagnosis. Carruth has met his son twice in the early years of the boy's life, but even from prison, he's closely followed news stories documenting Chancellor's extraordinary progress. What do you see when you see a picture or a video of Chancellor?
I see a kid that is filled with joy and happiness, and that makes me feel good. I see myself in him. I see his mother. I just see a kid that's not aware of the difficulties that he has. I can tell he's being loved. I can tell he's being well taken care of. I don't know. I just see a spirit that's capable of conquering any difficulties that come his way, and that makes me happy.
Recently, Adams has spoken publicly about her willingness to let Chancellor get to know his father, especially as his October release date approaches. Carruth says he wants nothing more, and has even sent visitation forms to Adams, but never received a response.
I feel like I owe Chancellor. I let him down as he came into this world, and the only way that I can make that right, the only way that I can reconcile my relationship with my son is to be there for him and to be a father and a dad to him going forward.
But Carruth's fatherly desires don't just stop at a relationship. He wants to eventually care for his son.
I should be raising my son. His mother should be raising her son. Miss Adams should not be doing this. And I want that responsibility back.
In the letter, Carruth writes, I mean, come on, Miss Adams. The reality is you aren't going to be around forever. At some point, someone else will have to be responsible for Chancellor's care.
And I feel like he might not ever have his mother in his life, but he could still have me, and I could still make a difference. And I just don't think that that's anybody else's responsibility when I'm still here.
But why would the man who's responsible for so much heartache deserve redemption? Carruth says he's found something he never had before. Are you the same person that you were 20 years ago?
Absolutely not. I think back then I was very immature, very self-centered. When I first got incarcerated, I had to sit down and ask myself, like, how did this happen? How are you here? And the number one answer that I had was I didn't have a relationship with God. And I know some people might smirk or laugh about that, but I know now that I have a very real relationship with God, and that's changed the way that I see and view a lot of things.
17 years in prison has given him a lot of time to think.
I think the biggest lesson I've learned is that the choices that we make in life don't just affect us, they affect your loved ones, your family, the people around you. And that's something I didn't realize before.
In 8 months, Carruth will be a free man. Adams has said she'll be at the gates with Chancellor waiting for him, but Carruth wants to start building that relationship now. Ever the athlete, he ends the letter writing, "Ball is in your court. You and Chancellor take care and be blessed. Respectfully, Rae Carruth."